Hello and welcome to the Craft Beer Corner. For today's beer review, we're jumping into a fruited New England IPA from Energy City Brewing. This one's kind of got a long name. It is Blue Velvet Ripple Sorbet IPA. 6.4% ABV on this one, and it's been brewed with the blueberries, tangerine, and vanilla. They also gave us the hop bill, which is solo hop. It's just Citra. So got a nice bit of ingredients here. I always like when they give me the hops as well, because that's important to know. This one, Energy City, we've had quite a few from them, and I've enjoyed what I've had. But a brand new one, first time I've ever had this beer. Energy City is of course based in Batavia, Illinois. So in terms of label art, nothing too flashy. It just says Blue Velvet Sorbet on a kind of periwinkle shade of blue with a little hot cone above where it says IPA. I'll angle it down, I think that'll keep some of the glare off, but looks quite nice. Let's get this cracked gently. I'm saying gently because they suggested you roll it gently before you crack it. Since it does have real fruit in it, it'll tend to settle on the bottom. Okay, that's cracked. Let's get this poured. Oh, wow. I admit, even though I had blueberry, I was not expecting to see that shade when starting to pour this into the glass, but boy, that's a lovely, lovely beer. Yeah, we can get the whole thing in there. All right, that is good enough. Visually, yeah, it's very, very dark purple. As you would expect from the blueberry edition, it has a very, very pronounced aroma. And it looks quite thick. So that would happen from the fruit edition, and it's also quite occluded. It's cloudy, which, you know, fruit will do that anyway, especially if they don't filter it out. But also it's in New England, so it was going to be hazy regardless. But looks quite nice, smells nice. Let's get right up for a proper sniff. Yeah. So the blueberry aroma on this is very much taking a backseat to the tangerine. Citrus is obviously quite a pungent ingredient with which to brew. It's got a lot more astringently forward flavors and aromas. But I'm expecting when we get into this beer, we're going to taste a little bit of everything. And I can confirm that, yes, even though this is a fruited New England style, I can smell very distinct citra hop aromas, probably helping to amplify the citrus side of the tangerine that I'm really getting. But it does have a little bit of that hoppy kind of tarry-like coming in the background. So we'll see how that translates into the glass, but it looks great. It smells great. Let's jump right in. Ooh, that's a nice beer. That's a nice beer. That's a good combination of ingredients, one I never would have thought of, pairing citrus with blueberry and vanilla, but it definitely works in this beer. And yeah, the hops are present. You know, it's a New England style. They're not trying to over-hop it, but they do have a voice. There was a little bit of a bitter kick. And I can tell you the vanilla that's in there as well, even though I couldn't detect it on the aroma, comes through very, very clearly in the flavor profile. So the first thing I got up front, which kind of surprised me, was I did get the blueberry first. Even though I couldn't pick it up on the aroma, that's the first flavor that came through to me. And then the citrus behind that, and then the vanilla behind that, and the hops are kind of behind that. You do get it up front, the sensation of bitters, but you don't really get actual flavor profile really of a citra hop. So there's not really this pine-like tar, resiny quality, which Citra are one of the hop varieties known for, and sure they are high alpha acid content, but that doesn't mean that they overly hopped this beer, nor that they left it during the boil process to extract out as much as possible. So I'm thinking not. I'm thinking it was much more aromatic use, just a very conservative amount in the boil, as would be typical for New England, but very, very tasty beer. In terms of the body and the mouthfeel, it's a big New England, which is going to be impacted by this fruit addition. So 6.4, that's, you know, it's not the highest ABV for an IPA, but with this fruit addition, it really does have a major impact on the body. So 6.4 may not be that high, but the fruit that are in there really make their presence known, aside from just the flavor, but also in the body. It's got what I would term at least a medium heavy body. It's got a full presence to it, no question about it. Mouthfeel, it's definitely more resistant and viscous than your average IPA. That much is certain as well. So again, I think we're getting kind of two-tiered effect by this fruit addition outside of just the flavor and aroma, but strictly speaking to our other senses. So it's that weightiness, it's that resistance to it that really is quite pronounced. Now I'm going to jump back in for another sip here, pick apart this flavor profile, let it intensify again, and then we're going to talk about the finish. I'm just curious what happens on second sip. That is robust. Okay, second sip. The hops are kind of present up front, and it's really mixing with that wham bam blueberry tangerine. And there's this little bit of bitterness that is almost coming from a rind-like effect of the tangerine addition. It tastes much more like citrus oil, citrus rind than it does any actual impact from the hop. The hop bite comes up front, it's very quick there and gone. And it is kind of coming right on top of the blueberry and tangerine on second sip. I got it on the back end last time, and yeah, the vanilla is still there. Just let these flavors intensify. So, in terms of what's happening, you're getting a quick punch of bitter up front and immediately pulls back. I mean, it's not even a 1 second, it's bam, off. And then it's just got this blueberry and citrus oil kind of rindy flavor profile rolling around, and then the vanilla comes in and they're all kind of mixing. Now, the finish. Being that this is not a super pungently bitter forward IPA, it's of course a New England style. It's not going to be, as a rule. This is no exception. Without the pungency of bitter on a beer, even as bold and flavorful as this is, it's not going to give you a length on the finish anywhere what a normal IPA would. And that is the case in this. It's much, much shorter than your average length on the end of the finish. You know, without the hops, that's just the way that it is. Some New Englands do have a longer than average finish, and some can compete with a standard non-New England style IPA. But this one, yeah, this is maybe average at best. Low end of average, almost bordering on low. It's a very short finish. It's not dry at all, as you would expect from an IPA. It's big and full and wet all the way to the end, but it's very short. So one more sip just to see if I can get the realistic timing. There's that intensity up front. Probably been 5-6 seconds. And it's already decayed really to just a whisper. Not even 10 seconds. So yeah, very short finish on this one. But that being said, when you are drinking it and have it in your mouth, it's absolutely delicious. This is a very well put together beer for my money. The combination of ingredients absolutely work together. Not a combination I would have thought of personally, but it absolutely works. Blueberry, tangerine, vanilla, absolutely delicious. I'm going to take my time, sip on this, come up my scores. When we come back, we'll get this one ranked from top to bottom. All right, now that we've gotten to enjoy this beer, we're going to get it ranked. So this, again, is Energy City Brewing's Blue Velvet Ripple Sorbet IPA. It is a New England style IPA that's been fruited. 6.4% ABV on this one, brewed with blueberry, tangerine, and vanilla, and specifically Citra hops. Energy City is based in Batavia, Illinois. So starting with the aroma, on a beer like this, you never really know, but the fruit addition was very, very pungent. And it really came through. I mean, this was one, good 1.5 to 2 feet away. You could smell it right after pouring it in the glass. It just opened up, just smelled absolutely phenomenal. The tangerine really came through, and the blueberry was subtle. Vanilla, I couldn't really detect it all, but I could get a little bit of the hop underlying character to it, which I didn't expect. Overall, smelled fantastic. Aroma gets a 10 out of 10. For the taste, I really enjoyed this one. I really feel like it's a flavor combination that I never would have thought to pair blueberry with citrus, but 100% it worked. And I think kind of the main key was adding in that vanilla as well. It just helped to anchor the two flavors together, and it truly was delicious. Really the only thing that I thought was, yeah, there was a little bit of a kick from the hops up front. I would have liked a little more presence, even if it wasn't quite so much intensity, just a little extra length. But other than that, that's really the only thing I could say. I thought it was fantastic overall, well above average. Taste gets a 9 out of 10. For the body, this was a very big body on a fruited beer, significantly more robust than your average IPA, but this had real fruit in it, so it was where I expected. Body is a 10 out of 10. For the mouthfeel, far more resistant and viscous than your average IPA or New England, and again, it comes down to that fruit addition. It really does help to thicken things up, almost like a milkshake style. Mouthfeel gets a perfect 10 out of 10. For the finish on this beer was not very long. Really by any standard, be it standard IPA, New England style, whatever. It just wasn't that long. As intense as the flavors were, it just didn't have the hop backbone to add any underlying bitters or anything to really keep the pungency and intensity of flavor going out at all. So under 10 seconds on each sip, and it was done. Though it was nice and wet and round to the end, it was just very truncated. Finish below average, gets a 3 out of 10. Head and retention, here's another one. It was really average-ish, kind of low end. It tried to form a head a little bit at the beginning, but frankly, this was so active in terms of carbonation, it was just collapsing over and over again. This low end of average, head and retention gets a 4 out of 10. For the appearance, this was a stunning beer. Honestly, of course, I knew blueberry was in it, but it didn't even occur to me, oh, they could leave it in here almost, I should have known sorbet IPA. But yeah, it was just stunning. Deep, deep, deep purple imparted from those blueberries, just absolutely lovely. Appearance does get a 10 out of 10. For the balance, overall in the grand scheme of things, I thought this beer was balanced exceptionally well. All of the component parts and additive flavors they put in there were great. Really for me, asterisk here, grain of salt, whatever you want to do, the Citra hop was a good choice, and it paired well, especially having tangerine as an added ingredient, but I would have liked just even a bit more presence from the hop. It was there and then it was gone, and it impacted some other categories. I would have just, for balance, just more hops or a little longer in the boil to let it have a little bit more of an impact on the finished product. But grand scheme of things, well above average for me. Balance, I give a 9 out of 10. Feeling in the intangible, subjectively, I thought it was a very good beer for a fruited sorbet, New England style type IPA. I thought it was excellent, and what they did, was a very interesting flavor combination. I just craved a bigger presence from the hop. Feeling intangible, though, still well above average. I give it 8 out of 10. Finally, is an example of the style. So New England IPAs kind of run the gamut. This is one I would almost put in a milkshake category, just due to the inherent qualities from the fruit additions and that big, robust body and that very, very resistant, viscous mouthfeel. For me, really well done. Interesting take on it. Nice combination of flavors. I just think, even in milkshake IPAs and New England styles, the hops do have a bigger voice, even though this is not trying or pretending to be a West Coast style. The hop was so subtle. That was one big key that held it back in a few categories, and that for me does impact the final score. Still well above average though in the grand scheme of things. Example of the style, I did give an 8 out of 10, which brings the total score on Energy City Brewing Company's Blue Velvet Ripple Sorbet IPA to an 81 out of 100. So this is well above average. And look, the world of IPAs is getting bigger by the day. There's all different sub-styles and tweaks and interesting things. I absolutely applaud Energy City by, constantly putting out all different types of IPAs, coming up with interesting flavor combinations. This was exactly that. So if we take the hop element and its impact on various categories out of the equation, this beer did remarkably well. It's just really that overall lack of hop presence and pungency that kind of impacted a few categories. That said, A lot of people drinking New England style IPAs, that's what they're looking for. And a lot of people don't really like that big bitter kick or that pungency from the hop. They're looking for flavor. And if that sounds like you, this is one you should definitely try to get your hands on. Very fruit flavor forward, very subtle bitters, but just delicious and well put together. I can highly recommend it. Folks, that's today's review. As always, I do sincerely appreciate you tuning in today. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to stay in the loop when our videos go live to YouTube, just turn on the notifications, click that bell icon. It is right next to the subscribe button. Until next time, keep it beer, keep it craft. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.